Men, do you ever have issues really finding a way to calm down? Do you have it yourself, as far as energy is concerned, to find a way to calm down, whatever that is, and however that looks like to you? Hi, my name is Jesse, and this is the Valiant Lifestyle. And what I do is I help men become the best that they are and support them the best way I know how, with the information that I have, both within my being and with the knowledge I know. So today we're going to talk to how does a blended family dad regulate his own feelings? How does a blended family dad regulate his own feelings? So before I get started any further on that, I would like to make sure that you're subscribed. Where my finger just wagged is where the bell notification would be, and you're going to select all my notifications, or excuse me, all videos, all content. You will be notified when that happens. And there will be no limitations on that for you. All of my great content's going to go to you. Okay, so how does a blended family dad regulate his own feelings? Where do we even begin with this one? So I'll start here. It is first, you've got to do it a number of times to figure out where you are. So that will look like you erupting in amongst your kids and your wife, and you'll do it a few times. And what will happen is, as you get further and further into figuring out what that looks like you're gonna blast, you're gonna be angry, you're gonna lose your cool, you're gonna throw stuff around. Don't throw stuff through windows. But what you're going to do is, there is going to become a point where you're going to recognize some patterns within yourself and what happens. What triggers you? First off, what triggers you? And it's not necessarily the person. It is something that the person does. So it could be something your wife does, something your kids do. And the trigger is important. Here's why. It's important that you do not blame the trigger. The blame rests right here, okay? Because it's the responsibility you get to take. So the trigger is the first point. The second is, after you've gotten to know some of the patterns, is the awareness to those patterns. The awareness to what those patterns are. So what that looks like is, every time my wife says this thing, I lose my stuff. Every time my daughter decides before she goes to bed that she's going to dawdle, I lose my cool. So those are the things that you get to the awareness of, oh, it is those things that set me off. And then the why part. So that there's an A part to that, like a 2A part. So you get the trigger, you've got the awareness, and then it's why. And then the third thing is, it's time for you to take responsibility for your own actions, my friend. This is how you start to regulate your own feelings. You start to regulate your own feelings by realizing what it is that you're contributing to the situation. And that might be the anger. That might be the behavior of the anger. That might be any of that. When you've got good friends, a couple buddies around you that know what that is, ask them about having you as a soundboard. You got to talk about these things. That's how you figure out where you are and how you are up against life. And so the regulating part is something that you get to develop over time. And it's going to be different for every man. I'm just giving you 3 steps to get there and what that looks like. Because I believe that regulating yourself, what does regulating even mean, Jesse? It means finding a way to calm yourself, your ability to control yourself, and it is the ability to have an understanding of your emotions in those moments. Because I'm willing to bet the trigger for which you're upset is deeply rooted in something within your childhood or another event that has passed. Why do I bet that? Because I know that for me, I know that for many other men and some of my clients that I coach, same thing. And it is, the root cause of it is some sort of hitch within the past that you have not dealt with. So every time that it triggers you, think of it like you throw your fishing net, you throw your fishing line in the water and it's got a hook on it. And you drag it through the water and then eventually it hooks on something. It triggers something. It gets caught on something. But what is it? It's that piece of wood that's under the water it gets caught on. It gets hard to retrieve your line. It gets really hard. It's not a fish. It's pretty static in the line and there's no jiggling around. That's what I mean by this. Something deep within you, whatever fish hook was sent out there is caught within this, and it's something you got to deal with. It's something you got to deal with. And the regulating part is understanding what the trigger is, having an awareness to it and why, and then taking full responsibility for it. You know what? I got upset with you when you said this. Or I got upset with you, honey, every time you dawdle for bed. Or I got upset when you decided to not do what I had asked you to do when you had said you would do it. And find out what that is. When you find out what that is, you get to simmer, take all that in, and figure out what it is. Because the quicker that you jump on this to figure out how to regulate it, again, regulating it is getting control of your emotions, finding a way to bring your system down to a calm parasympathetic state, because you're no good to your wife or your kids in this state. You're no good to them. In fact, you send a clear message to, this innate feeling within you due to your physiology and the reaction you've had inside of you emotionally, that you're not safe. You're not safe in that state. And what happens is they will emulate that chaos that you're in. Believe me, because I've done it myself. And recently, yeah, I've done it recently too. But I got to remember in that moment what that was like. What was that like, Jesse? What was that like? Can you give us an example? Yeah. So what I found out in a state that I was in when I talked to my wife about it, when she said something to me, is we made a comparison between myself and another father. But what I did was, in a vulnerable moment, I said, this is what I do. And I use this as a bit of an understanding on, okay, well, this is what I've got to do with my kids. This is what I've got to do with my daughter. And I like how he plans his adventures, and I want to live to that. I want to do that. As far as the emotional part and where I am with my kids, nothing of that. Because I do that much better than he does, in my opinion. But that's only my opinion. That's how I get to live. Where does that all land here? In that moment where I was feeling anger, I decided to take it upon myself to take responsibility for what I had said to my wife, which was, I'm really choked at what you said. I didn't like what you said. And what it did was it made me feel less than what I am. And that's what the deep-seated part of the trigger was, is not feeling enough for myself. So when I was able to land on that, figure out what it was, I was able to regulate my own emotions in that moment. And that was another piece of another thing that I have begun to heal. So how does a blended family dad regulate his feelings? The short answer, you take full responsibility for your feelings and what you do in that situation. You take full responsibility for it. Why? Because you're the leader. And as leader, you lead the way. You tell your family what is okay and what isn't with your actions. It's not necessarily with what you say. It is within your actions that is embedded. All right. Now, if this sounds like something that you would love to receive more information on, or you're at the point like Jesse, I want some help with this. Can I contact you? Yeah, absolutely, my man. So you're going to go to thevaliantlifestyle.com and you're going to book your 30-minute discovery call with me. And then we're just going to figure out, help you. I'm going to help and support you. I'm going to listen to your story. And then you can decide, we will decide if we were a great fit. If that works for you, let's do this. All right. Thank you for watching.